While gamers in the West are finally rejoicing because the Famicom Detective Club series is finally seeing a Nintendo sanctioned release in the West, gamers in Japan have another thing to celebrate when it comes to the Nintendo Switch remake, the Japan-only physical collector's edition. But what's in this set, and are gamers in the West really missing out? Well, that's what we're going to talk about here today. Danny from the Famicast here. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Today, we're taking a look at what's included in the Japan-only Famicom Detective Club Collector's Edition in this preview, taking a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of some of this, because believe it or not, there are some kind of negatives to it, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So just to start things out, for those of you that checked out my Famicom Detective Club preview that I posted last year, a big thank you to you guys. You know, when I made that video, like you, the idea of the series making an appearance in the West seemed like an impossibility, and yet here we are. So now, if you want to know more about the game, I suggest checking out the trailers that Nintendo released from the mid-February 2021 Nintendo Direct. From now though, like the title of the video suggests, let's talk about what's included in this collector's edition of the Famicom Detective Club, and also go over one thing that you should know before dropping any cash on it. So the collector's edition itself runs for 10,980 yen, roughly like 105 USD with the current exchange rate, compared to the asking price of 4,378 yen, almost 42 US dollars, for the games individually. Now, if you want the physical version, the Nintendo information page does say the following about this. The physical version is sold only with the collector's edition. Physical versions of Famicom Detective Club, The Missing Heir, or The Girl Who Stands Behind will not be released. So if you want the game in physical form, this is your only option. So that's kind of the bad, but let's go ahead and move on to some of the good stuff about this set itself. Now, as for this set, there are actually quite a few cool items that are included here. Of course, like we just kind of talked about, you will get the physical version of the game, as you can see in this image here. Now, everything is also placed in a nice long box to house everything in the package here too. Now, both games will be included on one cartridge according to Nintendo. Now, it isn't entirely clear if this means that both games will be under one icon on the Switch menu when you have it inserted, or if two separate icons will show up. You know, honestly, I haven't had to deal with this so often on my Switch with games that I own, so it's kind of hard to say how this is going to play out in the end. But I guess just keep your fingers crossed. Now up next we have the Famicom Detective Club Chosa, or Investigation, File. Now this is a 174-page book that has information about the in-game characters, artwork, as well as some information about the development of the Famicom and Super Famicom versions of Famicom Detective Club. Now, it just wouldn't be a Japanese special edition if it didn't include some audio CDs, and the Famicom Detective Club Collector's Edition doesn't disappoint in this regard. Now, there are two CDs included with the discs themselves, featuring artwork from the Famicom Disk System versions of the game, well, like the title screens and stuff, so they look pretty sharp. Now, there are 74 tracks on offer here from both the Famicom Disk System and the Super Famicom versions of the game. Now, last up, we have two leaflets, or flyers, whatever you want to call them, featuring the original art from the Famicom Disk System games, like the packaging. Now, I'm a big fan of the art of the original, so it's cool to see this as part of the package. Now, Famicom Disk System, a disc-kun included. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is the only way to be able to purchase a physical version of the game in Japan, and as far as I know right now, all over the world. Now, this set will be sold at various retailers across the country, so be sure to get your pre-order in as soon as possible if you're in Japan. If you're outside of Japan, good luck doing that. Now, My Nintendo store shoppers, like the mynintendo.com or .co.jp store, they have another option here too, to buy the game. Now, the ability to buy the game collector's set without the physical version of the game. Now, I'll kind of explain this. So Nintendo does this from time to time with first-party titles on the Japanese My Nintendo store, and like what it is, typically you have just like the package, like, you know, the Switch game package that just doesn't have a game card in it. Basically what people get is some kind of like, you know, like a download code for the game. I've never bought one of these myself, so I really can't comment on it from personal experience, but yeah, it's a cool option for those of you that might want the package but still don't want to have to worry about swapping out cards. Now, just before you close out the video and call it a day, I mentioned that there is one thing that you need to know before purchasing this game, and I think this is super important. If you intend to purchase this collector's edition, go in knowing that the Japanese version of the game does not include English. Let me repeat that. This does not include English. It only supports Japanese, Mandarin, and Cantonese. Now, this may come as a bit of a shock to some of you guys out there, as this is a Nintendo first-party published game. Now, while I was a bit surprised by this particular title myself, things like this happen from time to time here in Japan. Some other notable examples of some pretty high-profile Japanese versions of games, not including English on the Switch, are the original Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, Dragon Quest XI, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and there's others that I wouldn't know without doing like a serious deep dive or something. But so I'd say unless you're comfortable with the Japanese language or you just want to keep this thing on your shelf, you might want to shelve the idea of picking up this collector's edition. Also too, I've had comments when I've talked about this in similar videos before. Some people are going on to say, well, maybe I'll just wait and see if the English is going to get added later. I'll tell you, I've never seen it added later, so I'm not saying don't lose all hope, but yeah, you should probably lose all hope on that. Now, I know I'm personally excited about this collector's edition of Famicom Detective Club. Not having English support is kind of a bummer for me, but let's kind of turn things over to you guys now. What do you think about this set? Are you planning on picking it up? Are you excited to be able to actually play this remade classic on your Switch in English? Sound up in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. As always, thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you see, please feel free to drop us a like. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe. We've got tons of podcasts, video reviews, special looks at Japan exclusive merch like this, and a whole lot more. Again, this is Danny from the Famicast. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.